How's it going, guys? Aaron here, doing a little overview, I guess, of the new Febo Products triggers for the new MacDev series of markers, so the Drone 2, the Cyborg 6, and the Clone 5. I've got one here for my Drone 2. The guys at Febo Products were nice enough to give me one of each of the new trigger designs in exchange for the help that I had coming up with the triggers. I really wouldn't call it too much help on my end because I really just had a little bit of input. They're the ones with all the brains that did all the hard work. I just kind of gave some gentle input as they were working their way through it. So, without further ado here, I'll show you how to put one of these guys in, show you how easy it is, and have each one installed in my gun so you can see how each one looks and kind of form your own personal opinion on which one you think you want to pick up for yourself. I believe they are charging $34.99, and that is including shipping if you are not local, as well as a limited 1-year warranty where I believe they will replace the trigger for you free of charge one time, with the exception of paying for the shipping to you from them. All the triggers do come with stainless steel screws, so it's nice. You don't have to worry about those rusting out or having any corrosion or anything like that, causing any damage to the material. The triggers themselves are 3D printed, which is pretty cool. I know what you're thinking. It's probably a little bit sketchy, right? Real fragile. No, definitely not the case. These are very well-made triggers, professionally done, and they look great. There are 3 different options. There's the keel, you can see here, the plank, which is kind of the goofy looking one, and then the beard, which is the one that's kind of shaping up to be the most popular of the 3. This one being very similar in style and function to a Planet Eclipse style trigger or the Scythe style trigger from Violent Products. Keel is kind of a hybrid between the Scythe and the Deuce without the double bumps like the Deuce has. And the plank, well, the plank is kind of its own thing. Definitely not like anything I have ever seen before. I really don't want to call it a blade style trigger because that's more what the stock trigger within the drone itself is. But the guys that have used it and having tried it personally myself, it's definitely actually a really solid trigger design if you play only semi. If you're like me and every once in a while when you can, you like to play uncapped semi, this guy is great for really getting on the trigger and ripping real hard on it and getting a really nice high consistent rate of fire out of the gun. So without further ado, we'll go ahead and put the beard in, see what you guys think of it. Now as you can see, the trigger does come with the screws already installed. The only thing missing are the bearings, which you take out of your stock trigger. So take the stock trigger out of the gun here. And to do that, in case you guys are not familiar with the new mounting style of the MacDev guns, all you do is remove the 2 retaining screws on either side of the frame in place of what used to be a single pin that's threaded all the way through. The nice thing about this mount system is that it literally eliminates side-to-side play as long as you have the trigger mounted and nested properly. So just slide this guy out. Might have to adjust that stop screw. Yep, I'm gonna have to adjust that quick. Almost got it there. Set my spring aside because we're not going to use that for now. So like I said, you're going to take the bearings out of your stock trigger there. And all you can do is just take your Allen key and then gently push them through the side of the trigger like that. Set the stock trigger aside. Pick up the beard trigger here and push the bearings into that. Now they do nest in there pretty firmly, so they're not going to go sliding around on you, which is good to know. And then just to be safe, I'm going to go ahead and back out the screw activation just so it's easier to mount in there. So we'll take and just guide that right into the frame there. And then make sure that the line is open with the bearings. We'll tighten that one down, just keep the trigger in place, keep it from flopping out. Flip it over and put the other retaining screw into place. Again, making sure that the bearing's lined up there, which it is. Flip it back over and make sure both screws are tight. Now side to side, and obviously I have the screws adjusted so that it was easier to get in, but as you can see, trigger looks really good in there. This is probably going to be the one that I'm going to use the most out of the three, just because I really like that sight style of trigger. But as you can tell, it looks very clean in there. They are only available in black, which the nice thing about the Drone 2s is that all the contrast or accent pieces, depending on what you call them, are black. So it's going to match the gun no matter what color it is, unless you anodize it. But as they say, black goes with everything. So that's that one. We'll just cut out, and then I will put in the other two triggers and show you. And then, just for fun, we'll do a little cut action where we'll have all three triggers, and you'll be able to see which one you like and kind of get a feel for it. Okay, so I took out the beard and I have now installed the keel. As you can see, there it is. It sits out a little bit further, so for those of you guys that like a little bit longer reach or have bigger hands than I do, it's going to be a great trigger for that. This one's going to work really well for either semi or ramping, to be quite honest with you. The bump at the bottom is something I would prefer, just for the simple fact of, you know, if you're trying to hold a lane, you can use the one finger, just hold that down while you're reloading. But overall, it's a really solid design. I like it a lot. Not quite as much as the beard, personally, just because I like the fact that there is the swoop in up top and the out on the bottom, which is, again, better for me personally, just for the way that I walk the trigger. But there's that, so we'll cut that after the beard, and we'll put the plank in now. And then we'll cut the three of them together at the end so you guys can form an opinion. Okay, so took the keel out. Last but not least is the goofy looking guy. This is the plank. As you can see, there it is in the gun. It's a very straight, kind of a blade style, but again, it's really not, because the blade style is what comes with the Drone 2. Again, this one is better suited for probably your straight up semi-auto. I'm sure you could use it for ramp just fine, but like I said, this one is great for really getting on the trigger and sustaining a nice high rate of fire. Nice and consistent. So there it is. And since I just realized as I'm doing this video on the fly, kind of shooting from the hip, I'll show you what you get when you order one of these triggers from Febo Products. So we'll do the cuts and show you the different styles mounted into the gun, and then after that I will do what you get with the trigger. Okay guys, so like I said, last thing I kind of forgot, since I'm doing this kind of shooting from the hip like I do most of my videos. This is a single trigger, so this is what you, the user, will get when you purchase a trigger from Febo Products, which I personally have no affiliation with, aside from these guys are my friends, and I play with them on occasion, and I help them out with their guns, since they are fortunate enough to shoot MacDev markers now. So, one of the guys that started the company is a very smart engineer. He decided that he wanted to start making triggers for the new style guns, and since some companies that typically make upgrade triggers weren't going to make them, he decided that he had the know-how, the resources, and the brain power to be able to make these triggers, make them well, and make them right. Like I said, I had a little bit of input with the process, but as far as actually making the triggers and selling them and all that, I've had very little to no involvement in that. I'm going to use one myself, like I said. There is the beard in mine right there, just to prove that I'm not blowing smoke. But without further ado, here is the trigger itself. Each trigger is hand assembled and tested by the guys at Febo Products. It comes with a card that tells you which style you get, a little Facebook link on the bottom of the card, and on the back, the initials of whoever checked the trigger. So, take the trigger out of the bag here. This one right here is the keel. So as you can see, the trigger comes fully assembled, ready to go. The only thing you need to do, hopefully get the camera to focus in on this. The only thing you need to do is take your bearings out of your stock trigger and gently slide them into there. The trigger that I have in my gun, I did need to push a little bit firmer than I did on the keel and the plank, but they do go in very easy. The nice thing about that is they are going to stay in place, so you're not going to have to worry about them falling out when you take the trigger out. As you can see, the screws are already in there. So you have the stop, the switch activation, the spring tension, and the pre-travel right there. The nice thing is these are all stainless screws, like I said, so you're not going to have to worry about rusting, corrosion, or any of that good stuff. The nice thing for all you Drone 2 users out there, yes, I said you have spring tension adjustment right there. The nice thing about this guy is that they picked a screw that has a backing on it, so all you have to do is push your spring down that hole and it'll kind of grab onto that screw so it won't go falling out on you every time you take a trigger out, which I have done multiple times and you saw happen when I took my stock trigger out. Like I said, guys, each of these triggers is tested by the guys at Febo Products before being sent out. So you're going to get a working trigger, you're going to get something that's going to work well, and they definitely stand behind their products. I told them how they should handle the warranty stuff, and they definitely agreed with me and didn't flinch at anything I said. So that's basically it, guys. Thanks for watching. Check out Febo Products, like them, and like Team Boiling Point on Facebook. They're a bunch of really cool guys. A bunch of them really have big Grizzly Adams looking bushy beards, which is why this trigger right here is called the beard, because that's the one most of those guys wanted. As always, guys, if you have any questions, feel free to ask. But again, I have no affiliation with the company. I'm just kind of doing these guys a solid because I can get behind what they're doing. And like I said, they're just really nice, honest guys. So, thanks for watching.